Hello, my name is Spencer Rainey. This is my first discussion for the class on the development of Western freedoms, and thank you for watching. The relevance of Western civilization seems to be a strong topic for debate among historians. Some argue that the relevance based on geographical location of the West versus its actual encompassing population. Other discussions arise about the use of the term being too recent a development, and others yet debate the meaning of the word civilization. Despite these discussions, there are two broader areas of debate that I would like to focus on when evaluating the relevancy of Western civilization: the negative connotations surrounding the ideas, and the inherent Greek and Roman roots. Starting with the basic understanding of the term Western and civilization, Kwame Anthony Appiah defined the West as the North Atlantic incorporating Europe and the former European colonies in North America. He then went on to discuss the two main arguments of Sir Edward Burnett Tylor and Matthew Arnold as to the true meaning of civilization. However, the words of Robert Royal seem to encompass a better interpretation of the term civilization. And I quote, "A civilization is not something we simply inherit or ever finally possess. A civilization is an elaborate structure of ideas and institutions, slowly built up over time by the intelligence and effort of countless individuals working alone and together." End quote. Thus, the term Western civilization would imply the gradual development of culture, ideas, and structures throughout Europe and America. The big debates as to the relevance of Western civilization stem from two main ideas. One being that today's society focuses more on the negative aspects associated with Western civilization, such as racism, slavery, and sexism, making it less relatable to today's standards. The second argument being rooted in the intellectual treasures of Greek philosophy, as it's transferred to the Romans and over the centuries has influenced the ideas of liberty and freedom of today. Focusing on only one perspective of history may lend to creating a sense of irrelevancy when looking at Western civilization. Yes, racism, slavery, imperialism, colonialism, sexism, environmental destruction, and other traits can be found within the confines of the term Western civilization. However, they're oftentimes taken out of context. How often in our current century has society pushed for the development of something only to change their minds? We've done it with the use of fossil fuels, now pushing for electric and other power alternatives that are better for our environment. Tobacco is another example. Smoking used to be socially acceptable. Now we push ads for our children to quit using tobacco. Just because we look back and see racism or sexism within the confines of Greek and Roman history does not mean that they hold only a negative sway on our current culture, nor does it imply within their context of time that they were racist or sexist. The study of history is about identifying the different lenses within history. The relevance of Western civilization lies within the compounds of its development over time, and not just a small segment. The Greeks, Romans, Muslims, Jews, and Christians that came before us have molded the social customs and cultures before them, drawing from what they felt was important or intellectually relevant to their time. It's a gradual development of our ancestors through Western civilization that we have our current culture. The relevance of Western civilization is even more pronounced when you consider the development of liberty, freedom, and democracy. Robert Royal points out with the Greeks established our current ideals on liberty. It was the Greek values of self-control that established our desire to make and obey our own rules. Without Western civilization, without the development of the Greek ideals into our current culture, where would we stand on liberty? Without the initial establishment of liberty through Greek philosophy, where would our freedom be? Would sexism and racism still be pronounced in our Constitution? Would slavery still be allowed? Would women vote? Liberty for all was a gradual progression, but we had to have that basic understanding of liberty through Greek philosophy in order to get to the idea of liberty for all. According to Royal, in his quote, "The core of human life, our moral judgment about good and bad behavior, is rooted in Greek, Roman, and biblical developments." It's those initial developments that over time we've cultivated into the society that we are today. It's these developments that have swayed our society to move away from racism and sexism and slavery, and to ignore the relevance of Western civilization is to ignore our basic understanding of liberty. It's to give up our freedom and to go back on everything that our Constitution was created to stand for.